Today, we're going to be reviewing another expert advisor which has been in the marketplace for some time. The Razor MT5 by Mr. Anton Kondratev has actually been published since 2022. So it's going to be exciting to dive in today and see how the strategy works and how it's been able to be profitable in a live signal over such a long time period. This video is sponsored by Prosperity Algo and our free Golden Time Bomb Expert Advisor. Do you want to make 100+% annual returns through automating the London breakout and the opening range breakout? Then click the link in the description. So this appears to be a classic, more mean reversion type system, seeing that it trades the three most famous mean reversion pairs of the Aussie CAD, Aussie New Zealand dollar, and the New Zealand CAD. And apparently this is more of a triangle scalper. So in my understanding, this is going to be some sort of grid-based system. I'm not quite sure if it's a martingale, but I think there is a grid system there. And it might only cap out at 3 different orders in the grid, but I need to be able to actually run some more back tests to see that in more detail. So what we can see here is that this has been around for a very long time. We can see it running. It appears to be based on perhaps pending orders and more of a price action based system. And what he's saying here is that this is also prop firm compatible. So curious to see in what way is it prop firm compatible and what the actual strategy might be. But from what I can see, it trades a lot. And seeing as it's trading these pairs, it's more than likely trading a mean reversion strategy. And if we go through the back test here, what's good to see is it's not like the most impeccable back test in the world. There are some drawdowns, and we can see that there are some detachments of the equity curve from the balance line. This particular photo, I believe, is is definitely over optimized or overstated, turning $500 into 2.6 million. But almost every developer on the MQL5 marketplace does this, so you can't really blame him for doing this as well. So now we can quickly hop over to his signal page here, where we can see that this signal has been running for a long period of time. Quite frankly, it's been running since 2022, and every single year to date it has been profitable. However, what MetaTrader will sometimes do is if there's been a significant change in the trading strategy, it will blur out the previous signal. I'm not quite sure if that's what it's doing here, but it's a bit odd to me that most of this is not super, it's kind of faded out. So if you guys know why exactly they're doing that, please tell me, because always curious to see if some sort of funny business might be going on. And if we look at the trading history here, it is trading most of the pairs mentioned. It's also traded Bitcoin for some reason, but who knows? Maybe he just decided to make a trade in the account. And it does appear to be doing what he says it's doing. This looks to be some sort of mean reversion martingale, not kind of martingale style system, because we are seeing quite a few trades closing at the same time. So, and there also is lot scaling going on here. So 3 trades would be a cluster, and we see that every time a new position is opened, we are seeing a scaling of the lot size. So really this is a classic, at least from what I can see, more grid martingale style of system, trading the 3 most famous grid martingale style pairs. And this can be a very viable strategy. There is black swan risk. From time to time, this system does blow up. So you just have to be mindful of that. Especially here, like you can see that there are some larger grids where it did scale its lot size pretty significantly. Like here, our starting lot size is 0.1 lots, and we went all the way up to 0.21 lots. And this really illustrates like what a martingale style system can do. As you have exponential growth, right? So here you started at 0.1 lots, 0.2 lots, 0.4 lots, 0.8 lots, 0.13, and 0.12, and they all ended at the same time. So it is opening quite a few big grids too. If I just open up a random signal page and I can already see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 level grids, you just need to be mindful of this, right? Like it's opening up quite a few big grids quite often. And particularly when you're trading 3 pairs, your odds of hitting a big grid are quite high. So if you're trading this type of system, always just use some sort of equity stop loss so that you don't blow your account. And what that means is that you can say, hey, when my margin level or when my equity reaches a certain percent, close all positions. And the unfortunate thing is if you have this equity stop loss in, what will happen is more often than not, you will hit that more often just because you now all of a sudden can't go as deep into drawdown. And what can happen is you can hit that equity stop loss so often that it negates any of the gains from actually running this type of system. But some people have really like this style of system, so to each their own. Like, this can actually make you money. And what we see here is that it is indeed opening a grid position. I'm in MT5 and I ran a quick back test here of the Razor MT5 EA. My earlier point, I said it might only open 3 trades. That from the signal appears to be false. It does seem to have a unlimited grid so far. It can open quite a few different positions. Here I ran it on the odd CAD M15 because that's what he said to do. Because you run it on one on one chart, and it's able to actually run on all 3 pairs simultaneously. Here you do have the option of an equity stop loss. Right now it's set to 100%, but we can probably set this to, let's say, 20% and run the back test again. And we'd be able to see that there are some additional settings here to where you want to put the TP, where you want to put stop loss, as well as he has some smart take profit settings. Here you're also able to turn hedging on and or off. So that might be more of the Martingale element here. And a few different like RSI and standard deviations of Bollinger Band based settings. And this does show me that this is quite likely a more grid Martingale style system with a mean aversion initial entry. Because if he's saying that he's using Bollinger Band and RSI, most likely the actual trigger and or filters to enter the market are based on these indicators. And this is what the equity curve looks like. You can see that it's a good but honest martingale, right? Like, we do have these big detachments from the equity and balance lines. We have these big jumps, and this is all very characteristic of this type of system. And if I run it now without hedging, I'm curious to see what exactly is going to happen. And we can wait for the signal to run while looking at these trades. So here we can see, like, once again, it was a mean aversion system. Price kind of went away from it originally, and then it decides to open quite a few positions in a row. Okay, so this isn't super helpful because I turned hedging off and it's still running a grid martingale. Okay. Ooh, okay, that's not great. So it's doing something different. Maybe this is for US-based accounts where it's only allowing trades of the same size, or like, of the same side, like only longs, only shorts. But this is definitely not looking good because it's still doing some sort of lot scaling because it's blowing up, but at the same time it's not really working properly. So that's kind of interesting. And now for my final test here, I will turn hedging back on because clearly that was the better option. And we can run a visual back test to see if we can glean any more insights. But from what I can see so far, it looks to be an honest system. But once again, this type of system is generally a little bit flawed because of the fact that it can blow up. And not seeing indicators here per se, but I would venture that it's running an RSI and a Bollinger Band hard-coded. Yeah, so nothing revolutionary about this. Classic grid martingale system, trading pairs which generally work rather well on grid martingales. That's why this thing has had such a good long-term signal. He may have had multiple signals too, because quite a few of these bots did ultimately end up blowing. This type of system will almost always work until it doesn't. So you have to be mindful that you can be quite profitable with this for years and then eventually will blow up. So if you use this system, always be mindful to use an equity stop loss, but it does appear to be a real honest system with no manipulation, because we're seeing these back test, like the drawdowns and the differences between the equity curve and the balance line. That's actually a really good sign because most likely they are showing us the full picture. So overall, if you like this type of grid martingale bot, not a bad option. However, I personally don't like these bots because the black swan risk is just a bit too high. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. Have a great day.